Okay, so this is my 422 response to No Zombies Allowed. And so the first quote that stuck out to me was, for one thing, it's about you becoming more confident about speaking up and expressing yourself, not just when cameras are rolling, but anytime. It's about helping you realize that each of you has important things to say. And that just stuck out to me because I know that as educators, we're supposed to encourage our students and help them to realize that they all have important things to say. They all have opinions that matter. They all have their own individual thoughts, their own feelings, and I think that striving to prove that to them and show them that they do have valuable thoughts is something that should be really stressed in our profession. And I know that I have had teachers that do that, and they've really encouraged me to take leaps in just of faith in my classes, even when I know that my opinion isn't the popular one, that I still need to share it because it's still important. And so that one just stuck out to me. And the next one that I thought was really important was when it was talking about in TV shows that everybody is so happy and everything gets resolved in half an hour. They solve everything with a little hug. In real life, that rarely happens. And I think it's also really important to stress that to students, that the way that the media portrays things isn't how they actually are a majority of the time. And that from a young age, this idea is built into us about how things should be, and we get that idea through media a lot of times. And we're taught things through television and through music and in ways that we don't even realize that we're being taught anything, but it's still getting into us. And so my parents always told me garbage in, garbage out. And so anyway, yeah, that one stuck out to me. And then there was another longer one, and it was talking about the project that this teacher had planned, and it said, as a culminating production project, the kids produced their own sit-dramas in which they attempted to write and act out family situations that hit closer to home. I divided students into groups of 3 or 4, and each team scripted their own scene. Our pieced-together set included a colorful black backdrop Dave Coronado's art classes painted for us, and with the addition of a couch from the principal's office, an upholstered chair donated by a teacher, and an area rug dragged in by an 8th grader, we had ourselves a living room. The kids' scenes dealt with issues such as trust and honesty, teen pregnancy, divorce, and the double standard parents often had for male and female children. And so, anyway, this kind of goes along with the second quote, and it kind of counteracts that idea that media puts in our heads about how things need to be and how they should be and everything. And I just love that this teacher basically told these students, you know what's real, and so I want you to write about that. And he didn't give them any guideline or anything, that any set standard that they had to follow for any storyline. He just let them go at it, and they picked something that was important to them, and they just went with it. And I think that is such a great way to be as both an educator and in general, and just in teaching them about how to really criticize media and, determine for themselves what's important and what's real and what is just kind of made up for television. Because I feel like at their age, it's really hard to discern between what's real and what's not real, and teaching them to do that themselves is something that, that's not a skill that's just taught in any ordinary classroom, even though it probably should be at this point in age. And so I just think it was really awesome that he did that. And so, the last quote that I picked for this was, while the song was playing, I noticed that the kid next to me also had a copy of what was done. Oh, sorry. While the song was playing, I noticed that the kid next to me also had a copy that was done in blue ink. I got up and circled the table, peering over the shoulders of each student. Blue ink all the way around. Miguel had done all 14 copies by hand. And this one just hit me right in the feels so hard because earlier in this, I don't know, journal thing, whatever, I don't know what it was, but he was talking about how he was worried about this kid that his parents wouldn't have enough money to get the Xerox copies of his song lyrics, and he didn't take charity. And he went home and he wrote all these copies by hand. And that just, oh man, that really hit me, just because he went home and he had to have written this 15 times, song lyrics from just one song 15 times. And that just shows how much pride students have in themselves. And oh man, I don't know. It just like, I don't really know why that hit me so deeply, but that really got me. And that just the fact that he didn't want to take a handout from someone, and he wanted the grade, and so he went home and he put all this extra effort into it, that to have something that all the other kids just didn't really have a second thought about. They just went to the Xerox machine and got their stuff done, and he went home and he had to have spent so much time writing all of these out just to get a good grade on his project. And I think that just shows how much kids really do want to learn deep down, and they genuinely have this yearning to do well in school. And that really meant a lot to me when I read that. I just thought that was a really beautiful thing. And so some of the questions that I have, one question is it important to teach students to critique mainstream media? Is that something that we should try to incorporate into our classrooms, or should we let students figure that out themselves, and how should we go about it? And the next question I have, the second one, was, do you think that the media's portrayal of things affects students' ideas about how things should be? So do what they see on TV and what they hear in music, is that affecting how they believe the world should work and how it does work? Okay. And then for the two quotes that I can relate to my life, the first one is, finally, one of his teachers noticed him straining to see the board and offered to take him to an optician. Okay. A week later, Miguel was wearing a pair of prescription glasses, and his school performance, not surprisingly, almost immediately improved. And so I never had a teacher that paid for me to do something like this, but I did have teachers who I confided in a lot, and they're really the reason that I'm entering the education field, just because showing a student that you care means so much, and it hits so much deeper than we probably even realize. And so just like having those role models in my life who would see that I was maybe struggling with something, and they would pull me aside and be like, hey Abigail, what's going on, what's up with you, what's new, what's different, and just having them kind of have my back in that way, that meant so much to me. And I just like I switched high schools between my freshman year and my sophomore year. I moved and that was so hard on me, especially my freshman year when I found out that I was leaving. And so I had an English teacher who really stuck with me through it and just really helped me along. And when I was in middle school, my dad was deployed to Afghanistan, and I had a couple of really wonderful teachers, and you know, they would just hug me, and they would just like let me cry it out and just be sad that my dad was fighting in Afghanistan. And they just they didn't really have to do anything. Like they never paid for me to do anything. They never, you know, whatever. They never did anything materialistic, but they did support me in that, and that means so much more to me than they could ever realize. And the second quote was, gradually it became clear to the kids that the lifestyle and cultural norms depicted in many sitcoms reflect only a narrow slice of America. Okay. This one was important to me because my ideas of how things should be were so skewed. And finally, my mom was like, yo, Abigail, how you're thinking is not how things actually are. Like, welcome to the real world. This is how it works. And so, I didn't have a teacher who did that for me, but my mom, like, hit me with the truth, and she was just like, this is what's up, you need to chill, because how it is on TV is not how things actually go. They're not how people actually look, they're not how people actually talk, and so just like, chill out, you know how things actually work. And so that kind of ties back into the quote that I mentioned in the beginning, when they wrote their own sit-drams, I think they were called, about like teen pregnancy and the different whatever expectations parents had for male versus female students and everything. So yeah, alright, anyway, sorry this video got so long. I didn't realize that I was such a chatterbox, but okay, bye.